Good morning, children. Today we will learn the last part of the lesson Nationalism in Europe, that is visualizing the nation and nationalism and imperialism. So let us understand the meaning and purpose of visualizing a nation. Okay, so when it's a monarchical rule, when a queen or king is ruling the country, the face of the ruler is the face of the country. It was so, that is it, nothing else. But instead of monarchical rule, when democracy or different type of the other governments formed, it was very difficult for people to visualize the nation, because personification of a country is very important so that we can identify our country by giving a face to it. So artists in 18th and 19th centuries found a way of personifying a nation. In other words, they represented a country as if it were a person. Nations were then portrayed as female figures. You already learned about it last year in French Revolution. So here the female figure become an allegory of the nation. Like in India we have Bharat Mata as a representation of the country. We call our country, or we consider our country as a female figure, that we name it Bharat Mata. Similarly, in European countries also, 18th and 19th centuries, artists gave a face or a personified their country as female figures. As I told you already, in French Revolution we learned about it. The female allegory to portray ideas. They used the female allegory to portray ideas such as liberty, justice, the red cap, broken chain, etc. While justice is generally a blindfolded woman carrying a pair of weighing scale. Even now you can see that figure in courtrooms and all. In videos or films you can see that in a courtroom, as a personification of the law, we use that female figure by blindfolded her eyes, and there will be a weighing scale in her hand. So that is the meaning of personification. Okay. In France, the nation was represented by Marianne. Her characteristics were drawn from those of liberty and the republic: the red cap, the tricolor, the cockade, etc. Statues of Marianne was erected in public squares to remind the public of the national symbol of unity and to persuade them to identify with it. Marianne images were marked on coins and stamps. As I told you last class, when when several nation states become a single country, and that too those states or the part of the country were under different kings, as different kingdoms, it was very difficult for the people to identify themselves as a citizen of a country, or to consider themselves, instead of a subject of a king or an emperor, to identify themselves as a citizen of a country. It was very difficult for them. So these kind of statues and images in the coins, stamps, etc., these all help them to understand their country, or to identify their country as creating a feeling of nationalism in the mind of people. It was very helpful. You can see in this picture, this is a statue of Marianne, and these are the coins which are minted based on her face. So this was very common in France during those time period. Now let us understand about the female allegory of German nation, that is Germania. About Germania, the features, if you are checking, the broken chains which represent being freed. Then she used to have a breastplate with the eagle that shows the strength, symbol of German Empire. And she wear a crown of oak leaves, so that shows heroism. And the sword what she carry, that meaning is readiness to fight. Then olive branch around the sword, there is a picture in your textbook, you can check that. Though you can see that an olive branch is kept around the sword. The meaning of it is willingness to make peace. That means the same time when they have heroism, when they are ready to fight, at the same way they are ready to make peace also. Then also you can see that black, red, gold tricolor flag is also there. The meaning of the flag is the flag of the liberal nations in 1848. Then rays of the rising sun. Behind her you can see the rays of rising sun. That is a meaning, is a beginning of a new era. Okay, so you should remember these meanings. So questions, picture based questions may come for the exam. So this is the image of Germania. Same image is there in your textbook also. You can observe it properly and understand the meaning of different colors, sword, symbols, etc. given in this picture. So next part of the lesson is on the final chapter of the lesson is nationalism and imperialism. So let us understand the meaning of these two terms. Okay. Nationalism means when a person or people love their country, feeling proud about their own country, that is nationalism. At the same time, when you feel like my country is the best, so we have the right to conquer our neighboring countries or some other country and establish our rule there and force them to follow our culture because our culture is best. When we have that feeling or those ideology or rulers when act upon this kind of ideology, then it can be called as imperialism. So I hope you understood it properly. One example I can give you, that is if you are saying that I'm very proud of my army of my country. Our army is the bravest and we are very proud of it, then it is nationalism. At the same time, if you are saying that our army is the best, we are very powerful, so let's attack our neighboring country and conquer that country, so that we can help them to improve them, or to better educate them, or let them teach to follow our system. Then it is imperialism. I hope you understood properly. Let's examine the next part of the lesson. The beginning of imperialism. By last quarter of 19th century, the method or the way of nationalism changed completely. At the beginning, the leaders or the peoples felt good about their own nation, they were proud about their nation. But later we can see that different nationalist group, like every country had different nationalist group, and all of them were proud about themselves, and they start looking down on others. And the problems or tensions between these different nationalist group, it became very serious, and they were like ready to go to war. And this situation was utilized by the major European powers. They manipulated the nationalist aspirations of the subject peoples in Europe to further their own imperialist aims. People were proud about their nation, they were ready to do anything for their nation, and that situation was utilized by the emperors or kings, and they, by using these people or their nationalist feeling, they strengthened their own power. The most serious source of nationalist tension in Europe after 1871 was the area called the Balkans. In this map you can see these regions are known as Balkan Peninsula. But in this Balkan Peninsula, several regions are included. Like all these regions have geographically and ethnically they are different from each other. And the places which included in Balkan Peninsula, it was the present day Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, Greece, Macedonia, Croatia, Bosnia Herzegovina, Slovenia, Serbia, and Montenegro. And the people, those who are living in these areas, were broadly known as Slavs. The main issue in this area was a large part of Balkans was under the control of Ottoman Empire. We already learned about Ottoman Empire in the other lesson and this lesson also. I hope you remember that. The spread of the ideas of romantic nationalism in the Balkans, together with the disintegration of Ottoman Empire, made this region very explosive. Uh, all through the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire had sought to strengthen itself through modernization and internal reforms, but with very little success. They tried, but it was not successful. So the main tension in this region was already people start believing in nationalism, and at the same time the Ottoman Empire become very weak after their disintegration. So that's why this region become very explosive. As I told you earlier, through 19th century, Ottoman Empire tried to modernize themselves, tried to strengthen themselves by modernization or internal reforms, etc. But it was not successful. One by one, its European nationalities, European subject nationalities broke away from its control and declared independence. The reason or the claim of these people, of Balkan people, it was based on their political rights on nationality. So when they talked about nationality, they used history to prove that they had once been independent but had subsequently been subjugated by foreign powers. So the people of those regions, the Slavs, they used history to strengthen their claim to become an independent nation. So hence the rebellious nationalities in the Balkans thought of their struggles as attempts to win back their long lost independence. So what they thought or believed was, once upon a time they were an independent nation, they had their own history, and later these rulers conquered their nation and they become part of it. So now they wanted to regain their old glory, the long lost independence they wanted to take back. So as a different Slavic nationalities were struggling to define their own identity and independence, the Balkan area became an area of intense conflict. As I told you, Balkan Peninsula, we are using the term Balkan Peninsula or Balkan area, but still they were entirely different nations, or the places were, or people of that region, their culture, language, everything was very different from each other. So everyone was trying to define their own identity. At the same time, they were extremely jealous of each other, and they hoped to gain more territory at the expense of the others. Everyone were claiming that we were better, we are better, we had more regions once upon a time, so I need more. So these jealousies and issues between each other, that's why this region become very explosive. During this period, there was intense rivalry among the European powers. So Balkan Peninsula, people were jealous of each other. The nations were among tensions. At the same time, European powers, that means European countries, major countries in Europe, they were also had a very serious rivalry among them, based on trade or to make the colonies, etc., then naval, military fight, etc. These rivalries were very evident in the way the Balkan problem unfolded. Each power, that means the main European powers like Russia, Germany, England, Austro-Hungary, they were very keen on countering the hold of other powers over the Balkan and extending its own control over the area. So all these major European powers wanted that they should have a very strong hold over the Balkan region. So already there was tensions between the regions in Balkans, plus the tensions of European major countries also affected this region, and these tensions was The reason or these tensions led to series of wars in the region and finally First World War. Nationalism, aligned with imperialism, led Europe to disaster in 1914. What happened in 1914? I hope you remember. Yes, that is First World War. But at the same time, many countries in the world which had been colonized by the European powers in 19th century began to oppose imperial domination. So for a long period of time they accepted their domination and lived under that condition. But now they start opposing it. The anti-imperial movement that developed everywhere were nationalist in the sense that they all struggled to form independent nation states and were inspired by a sense of collective national unity forged in confrontation with imperialism, like what happened in India. And all. We understood our power and we had a nationalist feeling in India, which was helped by the collective nationalist feeling of Indian people, and we oppose the British rule. Similarly, in different colonies, same things happened, and European ideas of nationalism were never replicated. The idea of nationalism which European countries had, that was not followed by others, but definitely the idea that societies should be organized into a nation state came to be accepted as natural and universal. Even though people were not ready to completely accept the way of nationalism which European countries thought about, but still it became very common that every society should be organized into nation state. So that's it about the lesson. As I told you, this is a very important lesson and it is very important to read the textbook and study it, take it seriously and complete your notes which is given in your classroom. Thank you, children.